Okay, our objective today is to talk about inequalities, in particular, adding and subtracting inequalities. So the most that we'll see today are multi-step inequalities. Very similar to an equation in regards to how to solve it, but there are some different rules that we're going to discuss today. We will be on inequalities for probably about 3 or 4 days, and then of course we'll start doing some word problems with them as well. So I would think your Chapter 3 test will be sometime the middle of next week, but we also need to see how the lessons go today, the beginning of this week. So I'll keep you posted. Okay, first warm up. Would anyone like to tell us their answer? It's good. We'll just go over answers first. Doug? Good job. Number 1, x is equal to 2. Check your problem. Make sure you got that. Okay, let's go over the other answers, then we'll come back to questions. Okay, letter A, Mary? Yep, good job. I had to look at mine, sorry. Okay, letter B, Annalise? Good. Many solutions. Sean? Good job. So letter C, you get 1 answer. Letter B, there's many. Letter A, there's none. Okay, Mary, question. Okay, what did you end up with? Give me like your second or third step so I can see what you had. Okay, that's why you distributed wrong. Okay, so step 1. Rewrite negative 14 plus 7m. 7 times m is 7m. 7 times negative 2 is negative 14. Right, so then after you move the variables to the other side, we end up with negative 14 equals negative 14, which is true. Now on your quiz, some of you guys did this wrong. You wrote down that the answer is true, but the answer should really be many solutions. So if you did that, I took off half a point, okay? This is the conclusion, not true. Sean, question? Yep. Yeah. 0 equals 0. Still true. Well, you have to add it, though, to get rid of it. So same thing. You could keep going if you want until you get to this point. Okay? You're welcome. Zach? That's fine. I'm okay with the infinite solutions because that means the same thing as many. So I'm okay with that. Adam? Oh, well, that's okay. You'll just be ahead once we get to that. Alyssa? No, you can stop. That's fine with me. Doug, what letter? Well, you could write true and then many solutions, but the conclusion is many solutions. Okay. Annalise? Okay. You want me to do it? Yeah, tell me your first step. Go ahead. Okay, so that's good. So tell me your next step. Okay, so these are all, hold on the left side, I just circled all the numbers, and then on the right side, you can also combine those numbers and then the variables. Okay, so go for it. You tell me what you had. No, you combine these first, then these. No. You mean on the right? Negative 1. And then negative 1 plus 3 is 2. Okay? And then negative x plus 2x is 1x, so plus x. And then negative 8 plus 12 is 4. You'll have a bonus question like this on the Chapter 3 test. And then minus 2 on both sides, Annalise, that's how you get 2. You okay? Okay. Anyone else? Any questions on the warm-up? Okay. If you're not already in your notes on page 7, please turn there. Okay. I guess it's kind of hard to see. Okay, so before we start, We're going to talk about inequalities today. So you guys should be in your note packet on page 7. What's one thing you know or remember about an inequality from any of your past math classes, or just maybe you just know something? Sean, what do you know about inequalities? Good. There's not an equal sign. What else do you guys know? Mary? Yep. Yep. Anything else? Charles? Good job. Mary? You can graph them. Good, which we're going to do today. Okay. So let's start with, well, what are the inequality signs? How do you say them? And how do you illustrate them on a graph? So how do you say the first inequality sign? How do we say the first one, Matt? Good. The first one is less than. So I want everyone to write down less than. A way that I remind some of my algebra classes to remember this is the less than symbol kind of looks like an L. Okay, we call it the loser symbol because it kind of looks like an L. Also think of it that less than starts with an L. If you ever get confused with which way these go and how to say what they are, less than kind of looks like an L. Mary? Yes. The smaller n always comes first when you're looking at it from left to right. So that's perfect as well. Emma M? Yeah, the Pac-Man. Yeah, I like the Pac-Man too. Emma H? Yeah. You could do that. Okay, so if something is less than, if I say you guys are all less than 15 years old, on the graph, how do we illustrate that? What kind of circle would it be? If something is less than something, does anyone, I don't know if anyone's ever seen this before. Doug? It's a full open circle. So what I want you to do is, let's just pretend like it's 5. We'll just pick a number. Put an open circle above 5. So if x is less than 5, I'm going to put an arrow to the left. That tells us that x is less than 5. It cannot be 5, but it can be any number smaller than that. So if you have an inequality that is x is less than something, doesn't matter what the number is, there's an open circle above that number, and the arrow's going to the left because it's less than. Think of it as this arrow's pointing to the left. Also, the numbers get smaller as you go further to the left on the number line. So what's one possible solution of this inequality? Justin, good. 1 is a solution. What's another solution, Emma M? Good. 2. Adam? Yeah, pi. Briar? Good. -3. Justin? Or Jeremy, sorry. Jeremy. Perfect. You could say a lot of numbers, right? So an inequality is different also because there's not just one answer. They're telling you the possible solutions. X just has to be less than 5. Basically, which is kind of cool. Annalise. Okay, you may explain that again? It just means that it cannot be this number. X has to be less than 5. So it can be any number besides 5. Well, wait. Hold on, you're ahead of me. Wait till we get there. Okay, next one is greater than. So next one is greater than. Let's say we have x is greater than 5. So on your number line, I want you to put a little tick mark and put a 5. If x is greater than 5, what goes above 5? It has to be bigger than 5. Doug? X has to be greater than 5, not equal to it. It has to be greater than 5. No, full shaded. Or sorry, I didn't mean to say full shaded. I meant to say full empty, okay? This is the same thing as less than, but the arrow is going to be going in the opposite direction. So if x has to be greater than 5, Donatus, what's one possible solution? Good. 6. Emma H, what's another one? Infinity. Briar, what's another one? Good. You could say basically anything besides 5. The open circle represents it cannot be 5, but it could be 5.1. It can be anything else that's larger than 5. That's why there's an open circle. Okay, what is the next inequality sign? What's the next one? Emma M? Good job. Less than or equal to. Next one is less than or equal to. Okay, so if I say we are all less than or equal to 50 years old, which I know no one is 50 years old in here, but what does that mean? If I said we're all less than or equal to 50 years old, Sean, what does that mean? Good job. So if I said x is less than or equal to 50, someone could be 50, which no one is. There's not any principals or anyone observing us. So no one is, but they could be. And we could also be less than 50, which the rest of us are. So if it's less than or equal to, that means one or the other. What kind of circle do you think goes above 50? If it's less than or equal to, Zach? Nope. It's either an open or a closed circle. Zach? Good. A closed circle. So filled in circle goes above 50. It's less than or equal to, so the arrow's pointing to the left. Why is it filled in? Who can re-explain for us? Why is it filled in? Briar? Good. It can be 50 or any number less than that. That's why it's filled in. So our only two options for these inequalities is an open circle or a closed circle. If it's less than or equal to, it's always going to be filled in. Annalise?
So then could the equation be x equals less than?
It's right here. X is less than or equal to 50. Okay. Mary? Yep. 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 You could think of it like that. Yeah. Yeah. Is that confusing to you or no? Okay. Just making sure. Okay, last one. How do you say the last one? Annalise? Good. Greater than or equal to. So if we say we are all greater than or equal to 6 years old, that's exciting, right? We're all greater than or equal to 6 years. There's no one that's really that genius, right? That's 6 years old in this math class. That'd be kind of cool, right? Okay, cool. Okay, if it's greater than or equal to, what kind of circle, open or filled in, goes above 6, Alyssa? Good, filled in circle, because what we're saying is there could be someone that's 6 years old in this class, even though we know there's not. Filled in circle, arrows going to the right, because it could be anything greater than or equal to 6. Could 6 be a solution to what we just graphed? Could 6 be a solution? Yep. What's another solution to that inequality? Briar? Good, 7. Annalise, what's another one? Good, 1 million. Charles, what's another one? Perfect. Mary, what's another one? Good. We could keep going. We could do this all class, right? Go ahead, Emma. Perfect. All right. Using those, let's talk about some definitions, and then I want to do some examples with you guys, okay? So now that we've done our introduction of inequality symbols, let's write down what an inequality is. So an inequality is a statement formed by placing an inequality symbol, such as less than or equal to, less than or equal to, between two expressions. So an inequality is very similar to an equation, but we are replacing the equal sign with less than or equal to, greater than or equal to.
Mrs. Clark,
Sean.
please call 1461.
There's not going to be anything something equals something.
We just did all of that at the beginning of the chapter, so no, not now, but eventually I'll mix up all of them.
So it's not going to be like
They're,
one of our words.
oh yeah, it's going to be all those. So you could have less than or equal to or greater than or equal to. You could have less than or you could have greater than.
So no, like just.
But not just equals.
6 equals.
Yeah, because that's an equation. Adam?
They just asked Mrs. Clark to call the office.
Yeah.
Because
Ray, please call 1461. Thank you.
Right. But yeah, not related. Okay. Second term is solution of an inequality. Jeremy, you should have been done with that one already. Solution of an inequality is the set of all numbers, which we just had fun coming up with all those numbers, that produces true statements when substituted for the variable. So basically, we already did that together. I asked you guys, well, what's a solution? And you gave me a bunch of them. That's what this means. Solution of an inequality, the set of all numbers, not just one, all numbers that produce true statements when substituted for the variable. So these are kind of fun because there's a lot of options. What do you guys think the next one? What do you think equivalent inequalities mean? Emma H? Yeah, so say a little more though. Okay, so basically they're equal. Inequalities that have the same solution is what Emma H was telling us. She was just giving us an example. Equivalent inequalities are inequalities that have the same solution. Annalise? Yep. Could be a lot of options, but they want the inequalities to both end up with something like x is greater than or equal to 5 or x is less than 2. They want both inequalities to end up with the same statement. Yep. Just like we did with equations. Just like when equations... No, we didn't do any of that yet. That was just an introduction. Nope, we're going to do that. Emma M? Yep. They're inequalities that have the same solution. Okay, I guess it probably should say same solutions because there's going to be a lot of options. Zach? Say that again. Yes, depending on what the inequality looks like. But eventually we're going to mix them all up, so you will see some equations in there. Mary? Yep. But we won't have equals. These are all going to be inequalities. Yes, we're going to have those. Okay, so let's do some examples, okay? Is x equals 2 a solution of the inequality? So if not, supply a value of x that would make it a solution. So let's look at letter A. If we plug 2 in to letter A, is 2 plus 3 greater than 0?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yep. Is 5 greater than 0? I hope you're going to say yes. So yes, it's greater than 0. It's true. So yes, 2 is a solution of this inequality. Okay, let's go to B. We need to plug 2 in for x. Is 2 times 2 less than 4? In other words, is 4 less than 4?
No.
No. What could we add to this to make it true? What's one thing we could add to it? Zach? Okay. No. 2 times 3 is 6. Is 6 less than 4? No. What could we add to this? There's one little thing we could add. I want you guys answer that first. Alyssa? You mean like a negative 1 here? Okay, so that's not what I was asking, but that works. 2 times negative 1 is less than 4. So yes, negative 2 is less than 4. So that works. You're exactly right. So that is one that makes it true. But what could we add, Charles, to this to make it true? Good. If you make it less than or equal to, that's true. Because 4 is less than or equal to 4. It's equal to it. So that makes it true as well. Does that part make sense? It's only one or the other, less than or equal to. All right, you guys okay with those two? I want to show you how to solve. Okay, so let's skip the other two. Let's go to letter E on the next page. Okay, so the fun part. Solve and graph each inequality. Okay, what kind of inequality do you think this is? A one-step or a two-step? Doug, what kind? Good, it's a one-step. Too easy, but we need to do them. How do we get x by itself? Mary, how do we get x by itself? Good, so we need to add 2 to both sides. Please show your work as we're doing this today in class. It's the exact same process, but there are some things that get a little bit tricky. So x is less than 9 is our answer. So now we need to illustrate it on the number line. So if x is less than 9, Donatus, do we have an open or closed circle above 9? Why is it open? Good, it's less than 9. Should the arrow be going to the left or to the right? Mary? Good. The arrow should be going to the left because x is less than 9. That's your answer. There are many solutions here. 7 is a solution. 5 is a solution. Negative 1,000 is a solution. We could keep going. This is the solution of the inequality, but x can be a lot of things. If we plugged in, let's say 7 to this inequality, 7 is a solution, so that would make this true. 7 minus 2 is 5. 5 is less than 7. Doug. You mean 4 inequality symbols? No. That's algebra 2. Okay, letter F. Okay, I want you guys to do F and G. Do not do H. So try F and G. I want you to solve and graph. Do not do H, please, because there's something I have to tell you about that one. So F and G. And then graph them, put your pencil down. Don't do H. What do you mean, any numbers?
Do you have to go in order?
No. No. You can scale it however you want, but I wouldn't scale it like that. I would maybe scale it by like ones, do like negative 13.2, negative 12.2, you know what I mean? Just so there's a pattern. But you also have those on the wrong side. This is where they get smaller. This is where they get bigger. So this should be negative 15.2, negative 16.2, okay? Is that negative 4? What's negative 5 minus 9.2? Subtracted wrong. Okay, fix that, please. That should be a negative. Be careful. Watch your negatives, guys. Should be a negative, which means these all need changed. Nope, because they're your number line's on the wrong side. This all needs flipped. These should all be negative. So now you have it. Yep. And I'm going to go over that just to make sure. Yep, perfect. Okay, let's go over letter F. Okay, so I saw some interesting things, so I'm glad I had you guys try those on your own. So minus 9.2 on both sides. So we get P is greater than negative 14.2. Okay, here's the weird things that I saw. I'm going to scale this just by ones. So if I put negative 14 here, what goes to the left of negative 14 if I scale it by ones? Briar? Nope, careful. It gets smaller this way, bigger this way. So what number is smaller than negative 14 if it's not negative 13? What's on the opposite side of negative 14? Nope. What's on the opposite side of negative 14? If negative 13 is on 1, what's on the other side? Good. So negative 15 goes here, negative 13 goes here. Be careful. It's always the opposite of what you think. Here's a nice way to think of it. Negative 15 degrees is a lot colder than negative 2 degrees. So think of it as a thermometer. The cooler temperatures are this way, the warmer temperatures are this way. Okay, be careful because I saw some of you guys flipping that around. Negative 14.2 is about right here. It's greater than, so you should have an open circle, arrows going to the right. Is everyone okay with that? Annalise, do you have a question? No, I am not that picky. Nope. Charles? Yeah. Yep. You can do it on the line. I always do it above just so you guys can see it. Yes. So you have negative 14.2 on your number line. That's fine. So just make sure, though, you have like negative 15.2 or negative 14.3. Make sure you scale it, and however you scale it, that you're consistent. But you can scale it however you want. Okay? All right. Letter G. Doug, how do we get 17 to the other side? Okay, so minus 17 on both sides. So we get x is less than or equal to negative 6. Donatus, what should the number line look like? Filled in circle, okay. Good, going to the left because it's less than or equal to. Alyssa, what number goes on this side? Good job. Jeremy, what number goes on this side? Good job. Negative 5 and negative 4. Be very careful with how you're labeling the number line so that it gets bigger to the right, smaller to the left. Okay, any questions on those two? Okay, letter H, what's different about this one? What's different, Adam? Yeah, good. So the variable's on the right and there's a fraction. The very first thing that I want you to do is rewrite the problem so this is on the left, this is on the right, and we need to make sure that we're writing the inequality symbol the right way. So here's what I mean. M minus half goes on the left, negative 1 goes on the right. Look at the inequality symbol. What is Pac-Man trying to eat? What is he trying to eat, Briar? The negative 1. So when you write your inequality symbol, you need to make sure it's still trying to eat the negative 1. So basically what I did is, this inequality sign is facing the negative 1. I flipped it around, so it's still trying to eat the negative 1. So you're flipping it around, but really you're just rewriting the inequality sign and statement so the variable's on the left. Is everyone clear on that? Because there's only one like that in the notes that we're going to do. Okay? So now let's solve. Charles, how do we get negative 1/2 to the other side? Good, plus it. So add 1/2. Okay, practice from chapter 1. What's negative 1 plus half? It's negative 1 plus 1/2. Justin? What kind of 0.5? Good. So m is less than or equal to negative 0.5 or negative 1/2. So on the number line, I'm going to put negative 1/2 here. Okay. I'm going to put 0 here, 1/2 here. What would go after negative 1? Depending on how we're scaling it. Let me actually put this away here for now. What would go after negative 1/2, Mary? Good, negative 1. So remember, it's getting smaller to the left. The numbers are getting larger, larger to the right. If we're counting by halves, it does not matter to me how you scale it. That's completely up to you. Less than or equal to, Matt, what kind of circle goes above negative 1/2? Good. Filled in circle, it's less than or equal to, so it's to the left. Please rewrite the inequality before you solve so the variable's on the left. Until you get really good with these, if you don't do that, you're going to make a mistake. So please rewrite it with the variable on the left first, then solve. Okay, questions on that? Okay, look at letter I. We're going to do I and J on this little section. Okay, now we need to look at a graph and write an inequality. I want you to write down for letter I what you think the inequality is. So write down for I what you think the inequality is. going to the right. Write down on I what you think the inequality is. Be careful, it's going to the right. Careful, X should always be on the left. X should always be on the left. All right, Sean, what do you think?
I think X is greater than 0.
Close. Nope, you were closer before. It's a filled-in circle.
Oh. Oh, okay. X is greater than or equal to 0.
Good. X is greater than or equal to 0. If you don't have X on the left, fix it. If you don't have greater than or equal to, fix it. It's going to the right, so it has to be greater than or equal to. It's a filled-in circle, so it has to be equal to. Okay, go ahead and write down what you think for letter J. Write down what you think for letter J. This one should be easier since we already did one. All right, Annalise, what did you get for J? Good. X is less than 1,000. Questions on that one? Okay, we're going to do one word problem, and we're going to save the other two for tomorrow. Okay, so let's take a look at letter M. Okay, letter M. Does anyone feel like reading that for us? Letter M. Go ahead, Adam.
Water is 0 degrees Celsius. At temperatures at or below freezing point, water is solid. Where an inequality that gives the temperatures at which water is solid, then graph the inequality.
Good job. So we need an inequality that represents when water is solid, basically when it's frozen. So anyone have an idea of what our inequality would be to represent when water is solid? When you think you know, put your hand up. Annalise, what do you think? We're doing it in what they give it to us. Good. Okay, great job. Who can explain to us why is it less than or equal to? Sean?
Because when the water freezes, it is either like over or less than.
Good job. So it can be 0 because it tells us the freezing point of water is 0 degrees Celsius, which is true, but it also could be less than that and it will still be frozen. So on our number line, Donatus, what goes to the right of 0? 1. Briar, what goes to the left of 0? Good. Zach, what goes above 0? Closed circle. Emma M. Should the arrow go to the left or to the right? Good job. So there is our inequality. That's a very basic word problem, but they'll kind of all be like that. We'll do some other simple ones tomorrow. Sean?
To find out which way my hair for the dot, what the inequality symbol is, like if it's less than, then it sort of looks like the end of the point.
Uh-huh. It goes that way.
Yeah.
And you also think of it, the numbers get smaller on the number line this way, and then they're bigger this way. So this is always less than, this is always greater than. Any other questions? So not bad, right? The lesson? Not too bad. Okay. You guys have 2 assignments. So while I'm passing out your quizzes, I want you to open up your homework packet to 3.4. Go ahead and read what I have up there for you, and then I will explain both assignments once you guys all have your quizzes. Yeah, you're going to do it. Just get a homework packet from back there. Yep. Hold on one second. Go ahead and read what I have up there, and then I will explain in more detail once you have your quizzes. Yeah. Definitions. You got to make sure you're staying with us here. Welcome. Right, just so you know, you don't have to put your number at the top next to your name. That's just for school. You can if you want. Okay, so make sure homework packets open up to 3.4. We have some time to get started. Okay, Does everyone have their quiz back? Okay, so here's what you need to do. Practice 3.4. You're going to do numbers 1 to 26, which is all of it, okay? The only problems that you need to use another piece of paper for, you guys all listening? The only problems you need to use another piece of paper for are numbers 13 to 24. Okay? Adam, do you hear me? Okay, good. Briar, you heard me, right? Okay. Donatus, did you hear me? What did I say? Okay, good. 13 to 24 are the only ones you need to use another piece of paper. If you want everything else, you can do right on the worksheet, unless you prefer to write all of it on another piece of paper. So that's one assignment. Your other assignment, some of you guys do not have corrections. There was one person that got 100%. So common sense, if you get 100%, you do not have to do any corrections, unless you think I made a mistake. Please also get your parents to sign it, okay? This is due tomorrow. This is going into the grade book as a homework assignment. So you have 2 homework assignments, okay? Some of you guys, this one will take you maybe 15 minutes. Some of you, it'll take you 5. Quiz corrections should be written where? Who can remind us, Mary? Good. On a piece of loose leaf, please rewrite the problem and redo it. Do not turn your quiz corrections in blank. You have your note packet to look at. You have me to ask or email or see me tomorrow morning, okay? Do not turn them in blank or with a question mark. You know how to do all these. They're in your notes somewhere, and you also have a lot of resources and people you can ask. Alyssa. If you miss a negative sign, I'm going to trust you. You do not have to redo it, but make sure you understand why you missed it. Okay? That's all I ask. Emma M? Okay. So for these ones, make sure you have a number line in your notebook or back on the homework packet. Jeremy? Okay, do you have a question on that? I'll be right over. Any other questions in general on the homework? Annalise?